So what I'd like to do now, I do have some other mayors here that I'd like to bring up that are going to offer a few remarks as well, and then I'm going to come up and introduce the Premier. So next up, please put your hands together for Mayor Cisco of St. Catharines.
Good afternoon, everybody. Mayor Diodati started with a story, so I will simply point out it won't be a story, but I always like to needle my friend from Niagara Falls. He did try to point out that he is a city of 100,000. He does that because as the only Niagara member of the Ontario Big City Mayors Caucus, he knows if he hits 100,000, he gets to sit at the big kids table with the rest of us. He's not quite there yet. I will say in St. Catharines, the decision to endorse Doug Ford was relatively simple. I've been in office now for 2 years, and over that time, we've identified areas where we need help from the province, and the reality is Premier Ford and his government have consistently delivered. We identified chronic underfunding in the homelessness prevention dollars from the province going back decades. Premier Ford raised that funding by over 80%. We showed the need for more addiction recovery services in our region, and we presented a clear plan on how we could address it, and a Heart Hub was announced just last week. We laid out the infrastructure struggles that our older community is having in our efforts to get housing built, and we received Building Faster Fund dollars. We showed the need for increased GO services in Niagara, and we've seen unprecedented growth in the number of trips from our region to Union Station and back. We showed a need for more dollars in developing our skilled trades and our local workforce, and we saw skills development funds flow to key sectors and employers in St. Catharines. We brought the need for a more coherent marine sector policy to the province, a sector that is vital to the workers in St. Catharines and Niagara. And Premier Ford's government brought about the first Ontario marine strategy in our province's history. As the treasurer of the Great Lakes St. Lawrence Cities Initiative, which is representing a growing coalition of more than 250 binational mayors, the marine economy is absolutely vital to our city, our region, and our province. We've built world-class sectors in manufacturing, agri-food, energy, and transportation, and they drive prosperity across North America and beyond. In St. Catharines alone, almost 9,000 jobs are dependent on exports to the US. The possibility of a trade war jeopardizes that partnership, and the Premier on this file has led the charge, not just for St. Catharines, not just for Niagara and Ontario, but for the country of Canada, and has clearly demonstrated his commitment to standing up for our workers. Doug Ford has consistently made St. Catharines and our workers a priority. His commitment to ensure our local economy and our valued local workforce benefit from provincial investments in critical infrastructure is vital to our future. In times of economic uncertainty, the Premier has had our back and the backs of our workers, and I wholeheartedly endorse him in his efforts to attain another mandate, and I look forward to continuing to support and work with him to grow St. Catharines and the entire Niagara region. Thank you.
Okay, please help me welcome Mayor Campion from Welland.
Well, thank you very much, Jim. It's always a pleasure to be in your local area and to have my passport stamped so I could get here from Welland. You know, I can see in front of me, you know, we had Diodati, Cisco, Campion. Always coming last in these speaking orders is very difficult, so I can simply say, like they said. But I do want to indicate that, you know, this government, like past 7 years, has been fabulous to work with. What they are, they respond, and I think that's the key element. They actually answer the phone and get back to you as soon as they can, which is normally within a day. So we're always, you know, from a perspective of Mayor Welland, they have provided us with so many things, funding, for building, funding for hospitals, funding for healthcare, you know, and the list goes on and on. But the important thing is that they're investing wisely. They're not just throwing money around, they're actually dedicating money to areas that really need them. So I fully support Premier Ford and all of the candidates who are here today. You know, we need to elect these candidates, the Ontario PC candidates, so we'll have a strong government and a strong voice in the government. So I would urge everyone to please support those candidates. I fully support them. And I also want to say one thing that I found very different about the Ford government. They don't work in silos. So I can go and talk to somebody They might not be the right person. They'll direct us to the right person, advocate on our behalf. And one of the things I wanted to point out is that Mr. Zakaria is here, and he's been very helpful. Today, extremely helpful, because I didn't wear a tie. And so he didn't have a tie either. So thanks for your support in that front as well. So thank you very much. And again, I fully support this government and hope to see them back in soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Premier, Premier, I promoted him already. Thank you very much, Mayor Campion. So now, here's what I'd like to say. Now, as a business person, before I got into politics, I appreciate someone when they've got a business mind and a business plan. This Premier has got a solid business background with extensive business dealings in the United States, and that's exactly the kind of person that we need to deal with the turbulent waters that we're going to be going into. You need a steady hand at the helm. He proved his ability during COVID. I can't think of anybody better than what I want leading us with his team into the next 4 years than the Premier of Ontario. Doug Ford, all the way.
Wow, how can I follow that? Just absolute champions. Well, first of all, good afternoon, everyone. And Jordy, thank you, and the whole team here at Walker Construction for hosting us today. And those machines behind us, we're going to have them working. Jim, Matt, and Frank, thank you very, very much for your support. You know, these are three incredible champions for this region. They believe in growing the region, building, creating more homes, creating more jobs, more opportunities for families right across this region. And I'm blessed to be able to work with them day in and day out. So thank you so much, mayors. I want to begin by welcoming my team of local candidates here in Niagara region. Sam Oosterhoff, Niagara West, you know, he's been holding down the fort here for it's almost 7 years now. And Sam, thank you for being a strong leader in this area. Ruth Ann, Noonstag, Niagara Falls, just an incredible business mind, and we really look forward to having you down at Queen's Park. And Bill Steele, Niagara Center, great mayor. I know I can't call you Mayor Steele, but a great mayor, and thank you for joining our PC team. Sal Sorrento, another fabulous representative for St. Catharines that's going to be working hand in hand with the mayor and being his champion at Queen's Park. One of my great champions is instrumental in building over $28 billion of highways and roads and $70 billion of transit is Prabmeet Sarkaria, Brampton South. So thank you, Prab. Thank you for your leadership on the transit file. And we look forward to returning you right back to that same spot. Yesterday, President Trump continued his campaign to undermine Canada. For the second time in a matter of days, he sat in his Oval Office and mused about tariffs on Canada. He says, they're coming tomorrow. I wish Canada wasn't in this position. I wish we were working together to make Canada and the United States the richest, most successful, safest, and most secure two countries on the planet. But nobody's ever solved a problem by wishing it away. We have to play the hand we're dealt. If tariffs do in fact come tomorrow, the federal government needs to be ready to immediately implement a strong and forceful response. Dollar for dollar, tariff for tariff. The federal government has my full support to hit back and hit back hard. Retaliatory tariffs by the federal government are the tip of the spear. If this fight lasts, if the U.S. doesn't see reason, Ontario is prepared to support and use every tool in our toolkit to win this fight. Canada has so much of what America needs, what their military and economy depend on: high-grade nickel and other critical minerals, energy and electricity, uranium, potash. If President Trump proceeds with these tariffs, Canada can and should make him regret them. Whether President Trump falls through on these tariffs tomorrow, next week, next month, or even next year, there's one thing clear: President Trump is hell-bent on undermining Canada, our workers, our economy, our quality of life. When tariffs come, they'll devastate Canada's economy. Hundreds of thousands of jobs are at risk. I've been clear, with a strong, stable 4-year mandate that will outlive and outlast the Trump administration, I will do whatever it takes to protect Ontario. President Trump is trying to divide us. He'll say and do anything to get his way, no matter the cost. He doesn't know what we know. Canada is not for sale. Together, we will stand united, even as we prepare for the worst. As we confront this challenge, we have a plan to protect Ontario, a plan to protect Ontario workers, a plan to keep people working. From day one, our government has been hard at work on the largest, most ambitious plan to build in Canadian history. Whether it's the largest expansion of public transit in North America, getting to work on Highway 413, building the Bradford Bypass, or expanding the Garden City Skyway right here in the Niagara region. We're the only party that believes in putting shovels in the ground. We're the only party that's putting better paychecks in pockets of construction workers. Building Ontario has always been important to us as we've dealt with a growing population across the province. But today, as we brace for the tariffs tomorrow, it's never been more important to keep building, to build more, to build faster, to protect Ontario, to keep people working on a job site backed by a strong, stable 4-year mandate. A mandate from the people. A re-elected PC government will ramp up our plan to build. We will invest an additional $22 billion into our government's nearly $200 billion plan to build. We're not only going to invest more, we're going to invest faster. We'll prioritize shovel-ready projects that can get people to work quickly. Here in Niagara, that includes widening the QEW between Burlington and St. Catharines. That's a big one. To keep thousands of local construction workers and skilled tradespeople working and help drivers get out of gridlock. These are important investments in infrastructure. Just as important, they're important investments in jobs. Their paychecks, their confidence, and their peace of mind for tens of thousands of families. At a time when President Trump expects us to back down, we're going to double down. We're going to fight back by building back. However long it takes, we're going to come out of this fight stronger, better, and more united than ever before. And I'm prepared to give it everything I've got. I'm prepared to take enormous action to protect Ontario, our workers, our businesses, our families. I'm prepared to pull every lever I can to make whatever investments are needed. I'm ready to make these big decisions, but first, I'm asking the people of Ontario to make your decision. I'm asking for a stronger mandate, a mandate that will outlive and outlast Donald Trump and give our government the authority to act on your best interests. That is why I'm asking for your vote on February 27th. Together, we can build Ontario's economy, protect workers, keep us competitive, clean up our streets, and deliver better care. Together, we will protect Ontario. Thank you, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
We will now open the floor for questions from the media. Please come to the mic and state your name and outlet. Just a reminder, it's one question and one follow-up. First question.
Hi, Elaine Harrison, CBC News.
Hi, Elaine.
I appreciate this is a fluid situation. There's a Reuters report while you were speaking, and now the press secretary for the White House is saying it is happening tomorrow. You spoke about supporting the federal government's response. I'm curious, does Ontario have plans to respond tomorrow, or is it let the federal government respond first and then the provincial response comes later?
Well, we're working hand in hand. We've put our list forward to the federal government, but it's so important we stay united. We need to stay united with the 10 provinces and the 3 territories and the federal government. We have to show strength being united. And emphasize to the federal government that we have to retaliate hard, not soft, but hard. Meet them dollar for dollar, tariff for tariff. If he wants to put pain on Ontario families, on Canadian families, he wants to take their livelihoods away, take food off their table, we will hit them with everything we have. And never underestimate Canadians, never underestimate Ontarians. We have a lot of tools in our toolbox that America depends on and needs us.
Then on a completely different topic, I have a question here from one of my colleagues who's been hearing from seniors who are snowbirds, and they're upset that they might not be able to vote since they won't be in the country and international mail can be slow. One woman even wrote to you the week before your snap election call asking you not to do it. What do you say to these people from an age group that's usually more likely to vote?
Well, you call Elections Ontario, there is a program that you can get a ballot down there and they will be able to vote. But my message to the seniors, we need to protect our seniors, and the way we protect the seniors, we protect our economy, we protect the jobs, because without our jobs and the economy and the revenue we see from those jobs and the economy, we won't be able to protect healthcare, protect seniors, protect jobs. That's why we need to focus on the economy. That is number one, absolutely number one over anything.
Eric Viano, CHCH News. This past weekend, some community leaders and community members came together in Halton to talk about their concerns about quarries, and they're calling on you to keep a promise you made in 2020. I just want to know what your response is to that, and if you are going to keep that promise you made in 2020.
Well, we want to make sure that I just announced that we're going to be expanding the QEW. You can't expand anything without quarries. You can't expand the 413 or the Bradford bypass without quarries. Some of these people are the same people that don't want to build anything. They don't want to build new homes. They don't want to build highways. They don't want to build the 413. I want to build Ontario. I want to create jobs. That's what I want to do.
And I just want... And I just want to ask about these smash and grab style robberies that we're seeing in the GTHA. Just want to know, if you're reelected, how is your government going to address that, and would you consider changes to the Youth Justice Act, seeing that many of these people involved are young people?
Well, first of all, the criminal code is the federal government, but I've been putting pressure on the federal government. Number one, we should have mandatory sentences. You know something? You go in and you commit a crime, no matter if it's a store or you kick in a door, that we've seen that happen at 2 o'clock in the morning. Just imagine being in your home with your children and your spouse. A door gets kicked in, a gun gets put to your head. Sometimes the police catch them, sometimes they don't. I absolutely love our police. When you catch these criminals, these thugs that are terrorizing our neighborhood and our businesses, they go to court. And we have some really good judges, some really good JPs, but we have some bleeding heart judges and JPs that let these people out, not once, not twice, not 4 or 5 times, up to 8 times, just to let them out to go and commit the crime again. What they do when they get arrested, I've heard it from frontline police officers, they arrest them, get thrown in the cruiser, and they're so cocky, they're saying, I'm going to be out before you start your shift tomorrow. And guess what happens? They're out before they start their shift. We need to have mandatory sentences. We need to reform the bail conditions. And you start using guns, automatic 10 years. You're done. I'll tell you how quickly that changes people's minds. And we need to change the Young Offenders Act. You know something? When you're under 18, 17, 18, every one of us knew from right to wrong. Every one of us knew not to get an illegal gun being shipped up from the U.S., because 95% of the guns are coming from the U.S., and commit a crime. That is ridiculous. They need to go away to youth detention for a long time as well. That message will get back out on the street really, really quickly. I have zero tolerance for these criminals. We're pouring hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars into all police services, starting off with the OPP and every other police service, no matter if it's Niagara or Halton or Peel or York. we're supporting them. And we're supporting them no matter if it's helicopters, hiring more police officers. We're up to 2,000 recruits every single year now. And we're rebuilding the police training college.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Ford. Colin DeMello from Global News. I just wanted to clarify something. The $22 billion you're announcing today, is that part of your economic action plan, or is that separate from that?
That will be part of our economic action plan.
Okay, perfect. I'm curious about at what point you're going to lay out the entire plan. I mean, whether the tariffs are tomorrow or March 1st, I think people might be wondering what exactly your government would do if reelected. At what point will you lay the entire thing out in full?
Well, thank you for that question, Colin. We can't determine who needs the money until we see the tariffs. It could be one sector versus the other sector, and then we'll allocate those funds to protect people, protect their businesses, and the communities.
Today, the NDP said that one of their planks would be income support if there are tariffs that are punishing people who lose their jobs. Would a PC government be in favor of income supports, direct income supports, or not in favor of that?
Well, first of all, we're working with the federal government. The income supports will more than likely be coming through EI. And what we believe in supporting people's jobs until they can bring home a paycheck, supporting industries like this industry and other construction trades and other sectors. That's what we believe in. But I'll be there for the people. I'll be there for the businesses and the communities.
Hi, Premier. Laura Stone, Globe and
Laura.
Mail. On the tariffs again, if they are imposed tomorrow, can you just explain how Canada responds? So we publish our own list, and do those take effect immediately? Do you go into the LCBO and start clearing the shelves of bourbon? Like, what exactly happens tomorrow?
Well, let's find out if they are going to happen. These goalposts, as one of the reporters said earlier, they're shifting minute by minute. One time, the Secretary of Commerce will say something, and then Secretary Rubio will say something, and the President says something. They have to get their comms down pat. You know, that's a big problem down there. Like, you know, the White House has to be speaking to everyone else. Because right now, I don't think anyone knows what's happening down there. So we'll be prepared, we'll be ready, and as soon as these tariffs come, we'll match them, dollar for dollar, tariff for tariff.
Okay, thank you. You've talked a lot about the importance of presenting a united front, but we've heard from some of your fellow premiers who disagree with the retaliatory measures, who don't think we should be imposing tariff for tariff retaliation, particularly Alberta and Saskatchewan. So how do you represent their interests when they're opposed to what you're saying today? And how are you going to work to exempt energy exports from tariff punishment from the U.S.?
Well, I think to the contrary, we're all working together. Premier Scott Moe is my closest pal, my closest ally, and he has to protect his sector. And Danielle Smith, I understand where she's coming from, wants to protect the oil. But no one in this country is going to get harder than Ontario, get hit harder than Ontario. So we have our interests all at heart to protect our people. And my number one job is to protect Ontario jobs. With all due respect, and I love the people of Alberta, and I really respect Danielle Smith, they aren't getting touched on their oil. But what is going to affect Albertans, what's going to affect Saskatchewan, people in Saskatchewan, is every single product that is produced here. And I think we have to start really focusing, and I know Vic Fideli is in a meeting with a lot of the other economic development ministers across the country to look at interprovincial trade. Interprovincial trade can add anywhere from $50 to $100 billion. We need to trade internally. We talk about trade. It's harder to trade from BC to Nova Scotia and everything in between than it is with the U.S. So we need to address that internally.
Hi, good afternoon. It's Jessica from the Trillium. If you're reelected, will you bring more casinos to the Niagara region?
What we want to do is create a destination. And I'm going to, in 1 second, Mayor, I'm going to pass it to you. We want to create a destination, not just in one spot, but the whole region. You know, the wine sector, the wine tours are second to none. I had some friends call me up in the summer and said, boy, these wine tours are incredible. They're packed. And so in the summer, book early, book often, and that's absolutely spectacular. We have to look at other entertainment in Niagara, not just to mention Niagara Falls, which is an incredible site, but when people come here, they want to stay in the best hotels, they want to have fun with the kids, they want to not only go on rides and little trips, amusement areas, they may want to go and have some fun in the casinos. We're going to change this whole region with the support of the local mayors and hopefully the federal government, that we're going to have an opportunity and create a destination and create the environment for companies to come here and invest and thrive and prosper and grow. And when that happens, the people that work there thrive, prosper, and grow. I'll pass it over to Mayor Diodati. Thank you.
Yeah, so the Premier is referring to their plan of Destination Niagara, which doesn't focus on gaming, it's everything. So they're going to use gaming as one offering on the buffet to expand tourism, to leverage tourism. You know, unfortunately in Niagara Falls, we've gotten stagnant. We haven't had a new hotel room in almost 17 years. Our numbers have stayed the same for a long time. And places like Nashville have been more innovative, and they've done a better job at marketing and promoting. So the Premier's plan with Minister Cho is going to be Destination Niagara, which we'll talk about everything from our 200 wineries, our theater, expanding our airports. So because as it is now, we're the largest population in Canada without regular daily scheduled flights, expanding GO frequency, a visitor transportation system to connect the GO to the tourism core, expanding the infrastructure with the highways you mentioned and the Skyway. So it's a big approach to help with theater, with winery, with tourism, with gaming. They're going to take a macro approach to everything, and the whole idea is the high tide will bring up the boats. We're going to shine up that gem, and once again, Niagara Falls will sparkle. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Premier. Just a sort of PC leader now, I guess. Just to follow up on that, do you consider adding more casinos to the region to be part of your next mandate if you are reelected? Can I get a yes, no, maybe on that one?
Well, maybe.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Premier Mirna Djukic for Radio Canada. You've said multiple times that you can fight the tariff and do an election at the same time, but the other leaders say you're violating or flouting the caretaker mode convention with the travels to the US, with leading the premiers. What do you respond to that?
Well, I can tell you what the other premiers think. They gave me 100% support when I was on the line with them this week, and I appreciate all the premiers supporting me. I'm going to get down there. I'm going to lead. I'm going to lead when we go as the chair of the Federation, when we go to Washington on the 11th and 12th. I'm going to lead when we go back to Washington on the 20th. We have a great team of premiers, really, really united, and we're going to move forward and fight for Canada, fight for our jobs, and fight for our quality of life.
And also, if the goal here of this election is to get a stronger mandate, you already have a majority. What happens if you win with fewer seats than you have now?
Well, I look forward to building on our majority because people are going to have a very clear choice. This is going to be about leadership. This is going to be about who do you trust saving our economy, saving jobs, protecting people. Someone that's been through it, who's been through this trade war over 6 years ago, or 6.5 years ago, and in 2018, when I was deeply involved, going down negotiating with Secretary Lighthizer at the time, those lasted about 5 to 6 weeks. Or making sure that you have two choices. You know, you go with the NDP or Liberals that lost 300,000 jobs, as Mayor Diodati saw, 300,000 taillights when the Liberals and NDP were in charge and the economy all heading down. There was 300,000 people that lost their jobs because of high taxes, high regulations, red tape. We've been in office almost 7 years. And with the support of these mayors and the 444 mayors and wardens around this province, together, and the business people, we have created over 850,000 jobs. That's what keeps our healthcare going. That's what helps us build hospitals and schools and social services. We're going to continue building Ontario, being an economic powerhouse in North America. And that's the reason we're being targeted, because we're an economic powerhouse. Just last year, there was over 200,000 jobs created. Year before that, all the businesses here created more manufacturing jobs than all 50 US states combined. That's why we have a target on us, because we have the best people, the best companies in the world. We will put our people against anyone in the world, and we will win every single time.
Thank you, Premier. Sharif Hassan from the Canadian Press. Bonnie Crombie says that she will install platform barriers at all TTC stations. The TTC says it will cost over $4 billion, but it will save lives. My question for you is that, would you also build subway platforms if elected?
What we're doing, we're building the largest transit system in North America. And by the way, they voted against it. The Liberals voted against it. The NDP voted against it. The Green Party voted against the largest expansion in North America. We're going to continue building transit. We're going to continue expanding GO. We've increased it over 21 trips every single week into the Niagara region. We want to double that. We want to triple that. That's what we're going to do. We're going to continue spending money on building transit, getting people out of the cars, getting them into transit. We're spending over $70 billion on expanding transit around our province. Never been done, not only here, in North America.
Speaking of transit, the NDP leader, Merit Stiles, says that you cannot deliver on transit projects. Why should the people of Ontario trust you to get projects like the Ontario line done when the Eglinton Crosstown isn't even open?
Well, I'm going to answer shortly, then I'm going to pass it over. I can't call him the minister. He's not the minister this second. But let's talk about that. Anyone that's been in Toronto has seen construction on our jewel, which is the Ontario line. Anyone in the province has seen that they never had transit options when it comes to GO Train, expanding GO Train. And we're building transit 5 lines. Hazel McCallion line through Mississauga into Brampton, the Eglinton West line that they took the drilling equipment out of the ground. They ended up 4 weeks early. I think it might have been 6 weeks early. We're expanding the Young Extension, going into the GTA up in Markham and Thornhill and Richmond Hill. For the first time, the people of Scarborough are actually getting a subway. This goes back to when my brother Rob was mayor, trying to get it through the provincial government. That kept blocking it, even though we had the federal support. We're building a Scarborough subway, but we aren't going to stop there. We're going to continue building, no matter if it's the Finch LRT or going underground in Brampton. You talk to the people of Brampton, who would have ever thought 7 years ago if I said, we're building an underground transit system right downtown in Brampton? No one would believe you. But I'm going to send it over to the person that is making this happen, and God willing, we get reelected, we'll continue making this happen. Pramit, you have a minute? Thank you.
Well, I think the Premier said it perfectly, but I can speak from the work on the job through the Premier's leadership. When we first announced those 5 priority subway projects, the NDP and Liberals laughed at us and said this is back of the napkin. It's a fact that right now we have shovels in the ground on the largest transportation infrastructure projects in all of North America. Ontario Line, Scarborough Subway Extension, the West Extension to Eglinton, the LRTs in Hamilton, in Brampton. This is historic progress. And when we talk about Niagara, we've seen exceptional increases in services. The GO Transit, since 2019, we've seen over a 200% increase in passengers being served under the leadership of Premier Ford, Sam, his advocacy in this region. And the shame is the NDP members in Niagara, in this region, voted against that every single step of the way. When we talk about transportation affordability, making transportation more affordable, we introduced one fare. saving people $1,600 a year, transit users $1,600 a year. It's a shame that the opposition couldn't see through that and support this government in those measures, saving people, students, for example, $6 a day transferring from a GO station ride using the TTC. These are initiatives under the Premier that have been proceeding, moving forward, and leading North America. And we'll continue to do that. As the Premier said, an additional $20 billion that we're investing here. Those are going to protect good-paying jobs. Construction jobs right here in Niagara with the expansion of the QEW, the 413, the Bradford bypass. Thousands and thousands of people will be employed through those projects. The Liberals have voted against the 413. They have openly campaigned to stop that project. They don't believe in building highways and roads. This Premier believes in building highways, roads, bridges, and expanding GO Transit across the province.
Hi, it's Ray Spiteri with the Niagara Falls Review. You mentioned Destination Niagara. Where does expanding the Niagara District Airport fit into that? And what role do you believe the province has in making that happen?
I think it's one of the highest priorities. You have to get people here. If you have a great destination, you have to get them in through road, train, or by air. And we plan on really working hard with the federal government because that falls under their jurisdiction. But we're there to help, invest, and support expanding Niagara Airport. It's absolutely critical.
And on the GO Train file,
Yes.
when can Niagara expect all-day two-way GO Train service between Niagara and Toronto?
I'll pass that back to, I'm so used to saying the minister, Pratt.
Well, thank you for that question. Look, we've made some historic progress on the Niagara line. Just actually a couple of days ago, we were marking the significance of the Grimsby GO station in the transit-oriented community. That will be coming there. Since 2019, as I said, we've increased service by over and served over 200% more people than under the previous government. And we've introduced more trips, more lines, and we continue to do that. And a lot of that is in conjunction with our rail partners on the line as well, seeking that passenger capacity. But one thing I can tell you is we have put the dollars in, we have put the money in, $70 billion over the next 10 years into public transit, and we need to protect that progress by electing a PC government to deliver for the people of Niagara and to deliver for GO Transit. You know, just this past summer, we introduced 300 additional trips on the GO Transit system, the largest increase in over a decade. And this region particularly has been a beneficiary of a lot of that investment and will continue. One of the other things that we're working on for the Niagara line, we're in testing and commissioning phase of this, but very soon we will be able to reduce the travel time from Niagara to Union Station by over 20 minutes. We're just in the testing and commissioning phase of that at Union Station, but once that is built, that specific portion on the rail line, people in this region can get to Union Station 20 minutes faster. And these are, you know, billions of dollars being invested into our transit that was ignored for far too long. We've made that commitment to protect workers, to protect transit, invest in that critical infrastructure, and we'll continue to do so we can deliver more progress for this region on GO Transit.
This will be the last reporter.
Hey, Randy Rath from CHTV.
Hi, Randy.
I know that you've said in the past that you've had a lot of irons in the fire to, you know, try to set up a meeting with Trump. Is that a realistic goal at this point? Is he going to talk to you, you know, even as the chair of the Council of Confederation?
Well, that's going to be his decision. I can tell you, I've talked to endless senators, congresspeople, governors, probably 3 a day, every day. If you add them all up, probably over 100 of them. And you know, no matter if they're Republican, Randy, or if they're Democrats, not one single one of them agree with attacking Canada's economy. We are their third largest trading partner in the world, Ontario alone. We're the #1 customer, #1 export destination to 17 states. We're #2 to 11 others. Overall as a country, we're 28 states, they're #1 export destination. We do $1.3 trillion in trade, two-way trade. We're the #1 export destination, Canada, in the entire world. Who attacks your #1 customer? I'll tell you, no one does, except Donald Trump.
Yeah, this, you don't really need to call Prab up. Do you have a time frame? When are you going to widen the QEW?
Well, we're going to be on it, God willing. We get elected. We'll move forward on it. We'll expand it. And like I said in my speech, Randy, everything is going to go faster. We're going to make sure we cut out the red tape and the regulations and the bureaucracy, and we're going to get shovels in the ground. And you know who's going to be putting aggregate there, gravel? These hardworking people right here, so they can go home and say, I'm guaranteed a paycheck for years to come. That's who I'm going to protect.
This concludes today's press conference.
Well, thank you so much, folks. I appreciate coming here. There's nothing more important to our province, to our country, than this election. I'm going to make sure we protect businesses, protect communities, protect people, and I will not spare a cent. Thank you, and God bless. Thank you.